Good afternoon, or if you're in the Western time zones, good morning, and a very warm welcome to this webinar. My name is Deepak Gianchandani, and I am a systems engineer at Unicom. I would also like to introduce you to my colleague, Glenn Havelock, who is also a systems engineer. We both also handle some of the support TechNet incidents for our USA customers on various Unicom products. For those of you that are new to Unicom's Macro 4 division, we have been around since 1968 and are part of the Unicom global group of companies. The Macro 4 division provides document management solutions, of which legacy application decommissioning is one of the solutions. We also provide mainframe and mid-range systems management solutions. Before we move on, a little house rules, just to let you know, we are recording this webinar for replay, and for those who ran into last-minute conflicts, we have muted the lines, but if you do have any questions, please use the chat box. This is the speech bubble icon within the on-screen menu at the bottom of the screen, third icon from the right. Also, please post your questions to all panelists or everyone, so this way both Glenn and I can see it. Glenn will endeavor to answer any of the questions you may have while I'm presenting, and if we don't get to your question while I'm presenting, we'll address it during the Q&A session, which is close to the end of the webinar. Also, during the Q&A session, if you are dialed into the phone bridge and prefer to ask a question via the phone audio, please let us know via the chat that you have an audio question to ask, and then Glenn can unmute that individual. Also, you should be able to hear me over the computer speakers, but if you are not, please feel free to dial into the conference bridge audio. That information was in the pop-up when you joined, or that dial information can be reshared if you select Communicate Audio Conference from the top menu of your WebEx session. Please note this is a very quick webinar and should last roughly about 20 minutes, much like a TED Talk. So this is our third webinar and the last in the series, all around how to tackle challenges of managing data in legacy applications. In our first webinar, we looked at the issue of compliance and business risk, and in our second webinar, we talked about data security. So in our final webinar, we are going to look at the issue of how to increase business efficiency, including saving time and money by decommissioning legacy applications. In terms of increasing business efficiency, some key issues may have come to your attention. Firstly, we're spending too much money supporting legacy applications, meaning we can't invest in digital transformation. Secondly, our business users have to access multiple historic applications as well as current strategic systems. And thirdly, you have little choice and must spend your limited IT budget on legacy applications. There are many reasons to get rid of those problem legacy applications while providing business continuity and maintaining access to the data and ensuring the data is secure. So today for the agenda, we'll be talking about how to increase business efficiency. Savings include both time and money can be achieved by decommissioning legacy systems. We will be discussing how ease of access to data is important to business users. Additionally, how productivity can be raised by providing faster access. As we have done in the previous two webinars, we will share a use case and then provide practical tips on tackling the decommissioning challenge. Some content may be familiar to those that attended the last two webinars. However, it is as relevant to this topic about increasing business efficiency as it was for compliance and data security the last time around. Supporting legacy systems is a distraction for new IT initiatives and a drain on existing resources. Are you worried about the time and effort required to maintain data held in older, unsupported application? Is it draining your IT budget, holding your business back from moving ahead with digital innovations, and potentially damaging your organization's credibility? Typical scenarios driving the need for increased business efficiency include the business needs new features and functionality to be delivered as soon as possible in order to remain competitive. Demands for additional capacity are growing annually. Reducing operational and maintenance costs is imperative, as referred to as OpEx costs. Many applications may be obsolete, written 20 or more years ago and no longer meet the business needs, or applications that don't meet the current compliance standards. By decommissioning legacy apps, you can reduce your support overheads and refocus energies on the budget, on innovation, and thus on more important activities that are strategic value to your business. According to an article in Information Week, up to 70% of companies' IT budget goes towards maintaining legacy systems, with levels of specialized skill and knowledge decreasing as the systems have aged. Legacy systems are expensive to maintain while keeping their functionality intact. Driving the need for change is high, sometimes staggering costs of operating and maintaining legacy systems. These costs typically eat up a large percent of the IT budget, diverting funds that could otherwise be used for new projects. Lack of planning inevitably means that there is redundancy in systems, applications, data, and reporting. Agility is essential in a competitive world. Your IT systems must be able to respond rapidly to changing requirements by supporting new features and functionality. But legacy applications are notoriously difficult to scale or adapt. And as a result, your systems may lack the capacity or computing power to accommodate your business needs. As mentioned earlier, having to spend money on legacy applications or platform is money better spent on newer IT initiatives. Most IT teams have finite resources, which means that every hour spent supporting legacy systems is an hour less to focus on digital transformation activities. We carried out a survey of IT decision makers in the enterprises, and we found that a total of 93% of respondents recognized that this is an issue for their business. So 31% said strongly agree, 62% said somewhat agree, and that's how we add up to the 93%. Again, aging systems tend to consume unduly high levels of resources. Vendors regularly charge a premium for supporting old software and hardware, and internal support costs can also be higher. If there are fewer people on the IT team with knowledge of the legacy application to fix the problems when they arise, which they inevitably do, this is also a business risk. An important aspect of customer service is being able to access information quickly in order to answer customer inquiries promptly and preferably in a single transaction. As you can see from the top graphic here, a total of 62% of those questioned in our survey said that not having easy access to historical data leads to poor customer service. If your staff has to access multiple applications to find all of the information they need, how is that efficient? How many times when you have yourself phoned in to, say, your credit card company or a service provider to get your questions resolved, you have been asked to be put on hold by the representative, and they have to go investigate that, and they have to create yet another system. And from the bottom graphic, a total of 70% said that business users often find it hard to retrieve historical data from legacy applications. What's more, users may not receive training on systems that are considered obsolete or are less frequently accessed. The user interfaces are old and antiquated. As a user of these legacy applications, you may be unfamiliar with it as they are less user-friendly. We would now like to talk about how one of our existing customers decommissioned a number of legacy applications following historical mergers. The mergers resulted in 5 financial business systems originally used in different divisions. These applications were unfamiliar to the customer care team as the systems were from outside their organization. Unicom's Macro 4 helped our customer in a number of ways. Consolidate the data from 5 systems into a single common information layout designed in conjunction with the business users. This provided the staff with a familiar look and feel which enhanced their business efficiency. Reduce the IT spend on legacy application support in the amount of six-figure sum every year. Provided a central location to view all historical customer information, improving customer service by enabling faster search facilities. So how do you tackle the challenges posed by business inefficiency due to using multiple legacy applications? Well, start by identifying the business processes that access legacy applications. These could be directly access applications, applications which are accessed by newer systems, thereby hiding the original data source, those applications that are static, that is data which is no longer updated. Check if any applications perform the same role. For instance, in a merger situation, you may have duplicate HR and payroll, or a CRM system, or a financial package. Continuing on, make the business case to move your data to a more efficient and secure platform where common information layouts may be used, business users can easily access the data they need, data searchers are faster and more efficient, costs associated with supporting legacy applications can be eliminated. So how can Unicom's Macro 4 help you with that? Well, we have a great deal of experience in decommissioning legacy applications, and this combined with our Columbus technology helps. Our Columbus solutions have been designed to help companies like yours improve efficiency and reduce costs related to legacy applications. The development roadmap for Columbus makes it a safe choice for today and into the future. Once you have moved your data into Columbus, you won't need to move it again. Our solution, which includes processes we have developed over a number of years, moves multiple sources of application data into a single secure repository. Columbus keeps your data accessible to support business processes, reduces the cost of maintaining legacy applications, especially when multiple applications are being decommissioned. By bringing the data from multiple common applications to one point of access and using a familiar look and feel, this helps improve efficiency for business and for business users who access the data. If this is your customer-facing application, the ability to be able to answer questions or resolve issues on the first call is the key to both increasing customer satisfaction and even employee satisfaction, and thus the retention of the employees. All in all, this enables you to retire legacy applications. If your organization is moving their data center to the cloud, using Columbus helps reduce those cloud migration costs. Don't move the application as they are. Each server still carries costs even when virtualized in the cloud. You still may have to pay for maintenance for the software even if the VM is powered down. The infrastructure costs around supporting the application within the cloud still exist. By moving multiple legacy applications to Columbus and consolidating, you only move one application to the cloud, and that is Columbus. So does anyone have any questions? If so, please remember to use the chat icon that I mentioned at the start of the presentation. So Glenn, do we have any questions?
Yes, Deepak. You do. There's one from Hitesh who asks, he said, you mentioned the cloud. Can you confirm which cloud platforms you support?
So we have multiple customers running on multiple different platforms. For example, Microsoft Azure or AWS are common with our customers, but we support other cloud infrastructure platforms as well, as there are many, Google, IBM, etc., as most have standardized on the S3 object storage and some sort of compute, as Azure calls it, or AWS calls it the Elastic Compute Services, or EC2. So hopefully I addressed that question. Is there any more?
Yeah, there's another from Sandra who mentions that her company is just going through a merger, and she'd like to know, where should we start with these applications?
Great question. Again, check if any applications perform the same role. For instance, you may have duplicate HR and payroll or CRM systems. An initial meeting with the business users and analysts will help identify those duplicates. Feel free to reach out to us to start that initial discovery and to help you ask the right questions within your team. Hopefully that helped address Sandra's question.
Okay, and looks like we have one more from Ben, who mentions that he wasn't around for the second webinar that we gave, and how would he be able to access the content of that?
Great question again. I will address it in the next slide, so thank you for giving that question. Just give me a minute to get to the next slide, and I will address that one. Glenn, any more?
I don't see any other questions right now, Deepak.
Okay, great. So this is the last webinar in our series of 3 webinars looking at tackling the data management challenges of legacy applications. With regards to Ben's question, if you missed the first 2 webinars on compliance and business risk and or on data security, please email us and we can share the YouTube links. We'll be adding the recording of today's webinar also, so you'll be able to watch and listen to them again and share them with your colleagues. If you're interested in reading the full report on our decommissioning survey, you can find this on the legacy application decommissioning page on our website, and or please send us an email and we'll send you the link for the download. By the way, that area of the decommissioning webinars comes up once this webinar is closed off. You're taken to that web page in reference to that. So if you have any questions, please feel to reach out to us, send us an email in reference to that. So on to slide 18. So the key takeaways from this sessions are: identify the applications that are draining your IT resources and budget and holding your organization back from other more strategic initiatives. Consider how the business uses the data and how it needs to be used going forward, particularly in the case of duplicated applications. Make the business case to move your data and only the data you need to one secure repository. If you are migrating your data center to the cloud, don't move static legacy applications. Use Columbus instead to consolidate and then move it within your private cloud or the hybrid public cloud, as we mentioned earlier, in reference to that. So thank you for attending this webinar. If you'd like to find out more, please email Russ Guzzo at unicomglobal.com. Again, this email ID is also requesting the regular YouTube links. Some of you that register also have my email ID. That is fine. You can send me an email as well. On that note, as I don't see any more questions in chat, I'm going to call it a good afternoon for me. Glenn, any closing remarks from you, sir?
None other than I wanted to thank everyone for making the time to look at our webinar, and we hope we'll see you back in the future for others.
Thanks, guys.